Пані Галино, сьогодні у вас день народження і я вас з ним вітаю. Я дещо сама згадую, дещо мені тато нагадує, що ми разом варили медову живицю, ночували в хаті в Посічі і були в музеї визвольних змагань. І я вам бажаю здоров'я, Божого благословення, миру, перемоги, радості, креативності. І хочу вам прочитати книжку, історію з книжки Fairy Tales for Fearless Girls. Ось. Це буде історія Princess Imani.
А як книжка називається українською?
Казки для хоробрих дівчат. Історія буде про Princess Imani and the Magic Fan. Тобто принцесу Імані і магічний
Віяло.
Магічне віяло. Long ago there lived a king in India called King Girish. He had two daughters called Kiputi and Imani. Daughter, he asked Kiputi one day, "Do you trust me with your life and fortune?" "Of course I do, father," replied the princess. The king then asked his younger daughter Imani the same question, but he got a different reply. "No, father," she cried. "I'd like to make my own way in the world." Said King Girish with a frown. "We'll have to see about that." Determined to teach her a lesson, the king sent for a poor, old holy man who lived in a tumble town shack. "My younger daughter wants to make her own way in life," King Girish told him. "You are old and frail and can hardly walk. I'm sure you'll be happy for some help, so I'm sending my daughter to look after you." Before too long, the princess and the holy man reached the shack where he lived. It was hardly a suitable home for a princess, but Imani had a plan. "Do you have any money at all?" she asked the holy man. "A penny," he replied. "Give it to me," said the princess. "Then go and see if you can borrow a loom and a spinning wheel." The holy man hobbled off into the village while Imani headed to market to buy oil and rough flax yarn. Back home, she rubbed the oil into the old man's troublesome leg. Then she set up the spinning wheel and spun the finest thread ever seen. Next, she set up the loom and wove the thread into the thinnest cloth. "Take this cloth to the market," she told the holy man, "and sell it for 2 gold coins, nothing less." At the market, Princess Kupti came by and spotted the beautiful cloth. She happily paid 2 gold coins for it, and the holy man headed home again. Every day after that, Imani brought oil to treat the holy man's leg and wove cloth for market. Slowly, the old man's leg got better and her cloth became famous. They repaired the kindly woman who had lent them the loom and the spinning wheel, and they brought a sturdy new set for themselves. Imani discovered she was very talented at designing pretty new patterns in cloth that proved even more popular at the market. And soon the hole in the floor where they kept their money was overflowing with gold coins. "We have enough to build a new house," said the princess, and she sent for the builders who built one of the finest houses in the kingdom. And then King Girish asked who owned such a house. He was told that it was his daughter's. Well, exclaimed the king, "she's done it. She's made her own fortune." A few months later, King Girish had to make a journey for the faraway kingdom of Dur. Before he left, he asked Princess Kupti what she'd like him to bring as a gift. "A ruby necklace," she answered. King Girish sent a messenger to ask Imani who was busy untangling a knot on her loom. When the man asked her what gift she wanted, she replied, "Patience," though she meant he should wait until she had finished. But the messenger took this as her answer and hurried back to the king. "Patience," said King Girish, puzzled. "I don't know where I'm going to buy that." Next day, the king left on his travels. His business done, he brought a ruby necklace for Kupti, and he sent his servants to market to find some patience for sale. The stallholders laughed at the servant and told him to stop being such a fool. Soon, word of the servant's curious request reached the ears of the young king of Dur. He sent for the servant and listened to his story. "If it's patience the princess wants," the king said with a smile, "I know where there is some, but it's not for sale." Now the king of Dur's name was Sabr Khan, and Sabr meant patience. But the servant did not get the joke. Desperately, he began telling the king how clever, talented, and hard-working Princess Imani was, in the hope that he would change his mind and give him some patience to take to King Girish. Enough, laughed King Sabr Khan. "I'll see what I'll do." With that, he fetched a golden casket that contained a fine leather fan. "This casket has no lock or key," the king said. "It can only be opened by the person who truly needs what's inside. The person will receive the gifts of patience, though it may not be sort of patience they were expecting." Delighted, the servant took the casket and tried to pay for it, but King Sabr Khan would take no money. When Kupti and Imani's father returned home, he sent his messenger to take the casket to Imani. "What's this?" said Imani in surprise. "I didn't ask for anything." However, she took the casket and showed it only to the holy old man, who tried his best to open it. Then he handed it back to the princess, and at her touch, the lid sprang open immediately. Inside lay the fan. Imani took it out and began to fan herself with it. After 3 strokes, a figure appeared out of nowhere. "King Sabarhan of Dur." "And who may you be, sir?" asked the old man. "King Sabarhan of Dur," the king replied. "The princess has summoned me." "I haven't summoned you," cried Imani. "I've never seen you before in my life." The king explained how the messenger had come to buy patience, and how the king had given him the casket and a fan. "The fan has magical powers," he explained. "With 3 strokes you can summon me, then with 3 taps on the table you can send me home again." Princess Imani wanted to send the king home there and then, but the holy man was delighted to have such a guest, especially one who was good at chess. The king and Imani had lots of long talks, and they both learned a great deal from each other. Imani found herself summoning the king more and more often, until eventually she gave him his own room in their house. When Princess Kupti heard about the handsome and clever young king that had been visiting her sister, she was jealous. She went to see Imani, pretending that she wanted to look around the new house. Later, she slipped secretly into Sabarhan's room and scattered poisoned splinters of glass into his bed sheets. Then she went home as if nothing had happened. That evening, Sabarhan was summoned as usual, and they played chess and talked late into the night. Then he headed to bed. As soon as he lay down, the thousands of tiny splinters of glass pricked him all over, and he began burning from head to foot. In the morning, he still felt terribly sick. However, he had said nothing, and waited until Imani tapped the fan to transport him home. All the best doctors in the kingdom were sent for, but none could work out what was wrong. For weeks, he grew worse and worse, until eventually he lay close to death. Meanwhile, Imani and the holy man were worried. However, often they waved the magic fan, Sabarhan never appeared. The princess could stand it no longer and decided to go to Dur herself, disguised as a young holy man. One evening, she came to a dense forest and lay down under a large tree to sleep. She found sleep was hard by, and she lay awake listening to 2 monkeys chattering in the tree. "Good evening, friend," said one of the monkeys. "Where are you from and what news do you bring?" "I come from Dur," replied the other, "and the news is bad. Our king is dying. Word is that he was poisoned by splintered glass. It's a shame his doctors don't know about a bath potion made from the berries of this very tree," said the first monkey. "Mixed with hot water, it would cure him in 3 days at most." Imani waited until it was morning, then gathered up the berries from the tree and walked as fast as she could to the market in the city of Dur. "Medicine for sale," she cried. "Cures anything or your money back." "I wonder if it could help the king," one man said. "It's worth a try," replied his friend. They took her to the palace and announced that a new doctor had come to try to cure the king. When Imani saw the king, she was shocked at how thin and pale he had grown. She quickly prepared the potion and gave it to the king's attendants, instructing them to bathe the king with it. To everyone's astonishment, it worked so well that the king had his first good night's sleep in weeks. The next day, the king asked for something to eat. By the 3rd day, he was well but weak, and by the 4th, he was up, sitting on this throne. "Bring the doctor to me," he told his servant. "I want to thank him for saving my life." When Imani appeared, the king didn't recognize her and was astonished that such a young man could be so talented. He tried to reward the doctor with money and precious jewels, but all the doctor would take was the king's signet ring and a pretty silk scarf. Back home, Imani told the holy man about what happened, then waved her fan and summoned Sabarhan. He explained about his illness and why he had stayed away so long, full of praise for the brilliant young doctor who had finally cured him. At that, the princess opened her cupboard and took out the ring and scarf. "Are these the rewards you gave to the doctor?" she said with a smile. "They are indeed," the king replied in surprise. Then, understanding all that had happened, the king asked Imani and the holy man to move to Dur. Imani could train at the royal university to be his royal doctor, and he and the holy man could play chess every night. They agreed and lived happily ever after.